being distant from the haqq, from which is Allah. The people's being distant from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made their hearts wild. They become wild creatures because they're so far from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلَوْ أَنَّهُمْ أَنْسَوْا بِرَبِّهِمْ أَنِسُوا بِرَبِّهِمْ لَأَنِسَ بِهِمْ كُلُّ إِنسَانٍ. If you have an uns with your creator, every creation will now have uns with you. Uns, it means that when you spend time with somebody, you really, truly enjoy the time. That's the meaning of uns. It's that you're not doing this out of takalluf anymore. Takalluf is burdening yourself. You're truly happy doing this and enjoying yourself doing this. If you truly, genuinely get to that level in your ibadah, then you'll find that people will be like that with you. People will love to be around you. Why? Because the closer you are to Allah, the more tahdheeb and the softening happens to your heart. So you become somebody that everyone wants to be around. And the more distant from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the more wild you become. Greedy, angry, envious, temper, all that stuff. وَقَالَ أَنْفَعُ الْخَوْفِ مَا حَجَزَكَ عَنَ الْمَعَاصِي. The most beneficial fear is that which stops you from committing sins. And I would assume that the opposite is true. The أنفع الرجاء, the most beneficial desires, is what? دفعك إلى الخير, is that which pushes you. I'm trying to mirror exactly how he would say it. أنفع الرجاء ما دفعك إلى العبادة أو إلى الطاعة. The greatest of desire is that which moves you towards acts of righteousness. وَأَطَالَ مِنْكَ الْحُزْنِ. He's talking now about the khawf. The khawf, that khawf which leads to the beneficial sadness. The beneficial sadness is a little bit different. Namely, that the beneficial sadness is that that sadness that is not a sadness about something that you lost of the dunya. That type of sadness that depresses you. But it's more of the pondering that, or the pensive sadness about the shortness of this life, and we're passing. Have you ever driven back from a funeral, right? Or went someplace that you haven't been for years, and the place is now like destroyed? I remember there was a certain hotel, a lot of people used to have weddings there. These weddings were the most happening, hip things in our community that you got to see everyone's dressed up, right? And it was so exciting to go to these weddings for some period of years. Then 10 years passed. I ended up somehow visiting that same hotel and seeing it had fallen into ruins. It gives you like the feeling like life just passed. It's over. This is the end result of everything, right? So this is like, that's the pensive huzn that is more like a contemplation of the afterlife, or the brevity of life, right? That this life, it's coming and it's going. Right? It's coming and it's going. Madison Square Garden in the East Coast is probably one of the biggest arenas, let's say, in the area, right? In our area, New York City. Could you imagine a time, maybe like 80 years old, or 90 years old, you go to New York with your great-grandkids and you say, there was once a time where this was the city, right? And your grandkids said, New York? People used to like New York? And you're like, yo, this was the place. There was no place greater on the earth, right? In terms of dunya, entertainment. And let me take you to a building. It's abandoned now. It's all boarded up. It's nothing. Nobody uses it anymore. It's called Madison Square Garden. And this was the place to be, right? That's hayat dunya. That is that pensive sadness that when these awliya talk about it, huzn, that's the type of huzn they're talking about. The huzn, the feeling that this hayat dunya is passing us by. And we're moving so quickly through it. Also, you get that feeling when you see an old friend that you haven't seen, or when you see an uncle or somebody, or elder of the community, and all of a sudden he went from being like middle-aged to like really old, right? SubhanAllah. It's strange. Sometimes you have bad relations with people. Or just like staticky relations, not really that good relations. And you see them 20 years later, or 15 or 10 years later, and they're like happy with you. They're smiling, like they missed you. I missed you so much, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, what happened to their heart at that time? They must have gone through so many hardships that humbled them, softened them, broke them, such that whatever they were holding against you is now gone. It's such an odd feeling, but it's a good feeling. It's like, but I know something happened to this person. They've been humbled by life. Nothing major have had to happen. Just life in general humbles people. So many bad things happened that softened me up, that made me realize what's important in life. وقال وألزم